Hello, everyone. I was not intending to film any more Björk Fosora content until the album actually came out on the 30th. But I had one person ask me in the comments if I would talk about her second single, Ovule, which came out last week. And I thought, you know what? Since someone asked, I might as well. But just as I was about to film, we get news there's another single coming. And I kind of figured she was going to release one each week leading up to the record at this point. We have the third single, Ancestress, featuring her son, Sindri. So I am going to talk about both of these tracks in this video. I'm going to start with Ovule since it came first. But I want to just say that I am really impressed with what we're getting. It might just be the fact that they're new songs, so they've got a lot of novelty. Time will tell if, I'm going to be listening to them years from now. But I am definitely here for this record, for all of the different sort of explorations sonically she is taking us on. Ovule is kind of what I expected melodically, but there's just still something about the way she encapsulates all of the sounds of her past eras together to be just reminiscent of things, but still totally fresh. I really feel like the melody reminds me a lot of what she was doing on Medulla and also on Vulnicura, these sort of repetitive, kind of strange time signature riffs that, do form some sort of hook, but it's not easily, it's not one that I would necessarily consider a gripping hook. But when you pair it together with the trombones and with the slightly more earthy production, it just gives it this energy. I have placed a glass egg above us floating, an oval ovule in a dark blood red void, carries our digital selves embracing and kissing. She talks about how she envisions these three spheres existing in a relationship. The one above is the ideal kind of form of love that is sort of always on our minds, that we're comparing our present situation against constantly. The sphere below is the shadows of that relationship of love, all of the sort of suppressed, darker sort of inclinations and subconscious feelings that we can't really fully control or understand, that do sort of subliminally govern a lot of our emotions in a relationship. And then the third sphere, which is the actual walking person that lives within us. It's the actual embodiment of what this love is actually to be. And this is where they live. She just has this very clear image that she is trying to kind of capture here. And it is this delicate alchemy she describes of keeping all of these ovules in balance, because a healthy relationship requires all of these three to be connected in harmony. And she describes them as glass because glass is super fragile and it can easily shatter. And that is true of pretty much any relationship. Glass is at once like a very sort of resilient and tough substance, and then at once also very fragile. So it has that kind of juxtaposition. I love this sort of visualization she's crafted for this. The music video features exquisite styling. Nick Knight, who has done styling and videography for her since the 90s, is back to kind of help her psychedelic, expansive kind of vision come to life. We've got these deep crimson reds, and then these whites and silver metallic sort of expansions coming out of her. And so it has a chrysalis-like quality to it of an egg or ovum expanding, and then the red is symbolizing blood and sort of fertility. So I get these sensual, erotic vibes. The keel of our ship, these obstacles are just teaching us so we can merge even deeper into our own personal mineral. Fuse, alloy, ship, ahoy. Probably the best rhyme I've ever heard in a song. Also, the way that she delivers ship, ahoy, I hate to say it, but sometimes it almost feels like parody. It feels like she's aware of how, I don't want to say comedic, but sometimes how kind of funny her voice sounds when she sings very sort of unexpected kind of lyrics that are extreme metaphors that no one else would ever write, because she's just a wizard at that. And I feel like she's sort of I don't want to say poking fun at herself in her delivery, but it's a very kind of ear catching sort of delivery that is so her. The hostility a broken heart endures, the velocity of that injury is returned to the world with the same grin showing teeth. When I was a girl, I felt love was a building I marched towards, but deadly demonic divorces, love that alliteration there, demolished the ideal. All those D sounds, really great. Now, with your romantic intelligence, the sensual tenderness, we dissolve old habits and place a glass egg above us, floating in the dark blood red oval void, our lovemaking avatars in a shell. Björk said, "You up? You ready to make love as avatars in a shell?" No, it's both. It's at once erotic, but it's also kind of like very sentimental, and also kind of expressing just like the kind of pain and heartbreak that she has had to deal with her relationship to Matthew Barney, relationships in the past, the need for a chrysalis or some sort of cocoon to secure what is such a sacred sort of feeling, and striking the correct balance of tenderness and vulnerability with strength and resilience as best as Björk can in a very feminine, very esoteric way, deliver a unsyncopated, arrhythmic, kind of jarring melody line that still gets hooked in a loop over and over as she pours through these verses that are so poetic. So overall, Ovule, strong track, not my favorite so far that we've heard, but still strong. But Ancestress, this is exactly what I was kind of longing for, I think, from a Björk record in recent years. Something that feels so ceremonial and in some ways a little bit divorced from more of the earthy electronic beats that she constantly is playing with. I love the use of just the more sort of the airy outdoor percussion, the use of the gong mixed with the orchestral string elements. It creates a truly emotional, lamentative backbone. And this song lives in a very Icelandic, weathered spiritual plane. As she marches around in the best exquisite styled costumes you can imagine, extolling upon the memory of her late mother, who passed away in 2018 at the age of 72. It's sort of like a biographical description of, her relationship to her mother and her mother's death, starting with when she was a girl and her mother would sing in a falsetto these lullabies with sincerity. I thank her for her integrity. And at the time when she began to become ill, her pulsating skin was rebelling. The doctors she despised placed a pacemaker inside her. I mean, this is such a literal, like, descriptive storytelling that we don't get a lot from her. It's very direct, that you sometimes are like, wow, I wasn't expecting her to really literally describe the situations. She had an idiosyncratic sense of rhythm, dyslexia, the ultimate free form. She must have been dyslexic. She invents words and adds syllables, handwriting, language all her own. I wonder if this is alluding to perhaps some memory issues that she might have had in her final months and years, issues with verbalization. The machine of her breathed all night while she rested, revealed her resilience, and then it didn't. The long kind of meditation on that last line that, she really kind of drives home is so gut wrenching, because that's when sort of the crux of the emotional weight of loss comes through in the motion in the storytelling that she's giving us here. You see with your own eyes, she and her son Sindri sing together in all of these choruses. But here with your mothers, there's fear of being absorbed by the other. By now, we share the same flesh. As much as I tried to escape it, this is no mediocre debris. My ancestress, this is. This is these bones, this flesh, this is the documentation of my history. The odor of our final parting, those have been the perfume of separation for centuries. Nature wrote this psalm. It expands this realm, translucent skin, let go of a cold palm embalmed. So we descend into much more abstract lyricism here and really kind of meditate on the gravity of the afterlife, of death, of loss, of a mother and a daughter's connection. It is so primal and gut wrenching that I am just still processing. Um, but I am so enamored by how raw she is being and how direct she is being. It's interesting. She talks about having a funeral being something she's always kind of avoided attending because I was just actually at a funeral, and this is kind of apt doing into the fact that funerals are kind of on the mind right now because the Queen has recently passed away, and I was watching her funeral. And, the church can feel a little bit claustrophobic. And I agree with her in that funerals are supposed to be outside, the great expanse of the sky, letting the spirit really escape. Um, it just never felt quite right for me, the indoor kind of focus of the funeral. So I felt very kind of, I felt a lot what she was saying and about how difficult it has been. And so, in a way, this song and this video is her own way of paying tribute to her mother in a funereal sense. And it's a privilege to witness because it is so, rooted and pagan. And it's in touch with some like Norse and Viking kind of ancestral lineages and symbolism. Everything about it is just ethereal and everything I'm looking for from Björk, which I feel like it's somewhat something she's tried to shy away from. She doesn't like to be called an elf. She doesn't like to be called this mysterious, whimsical fairy. She wants to kind of like stay rooted and scientific and grounded. And yet at the same time, she is so spiritual and esoteric. I find it very interesting. There's going to be another song on the album about her mother as a eulogy. So this album isn't going to be, all uplifting, powerful fungal beats. It's going to have that lamentative energy as well, which I think will balance out the album wonderfully. But there's also kind of a celebration. I mean, the song has that light kind of percussion, and at times, even with the orchestration, it becomes quite almost jovial. There's times where it's more lamentative, but there's times where the pace quickens and it becomes kind of celebratory. So it is at once a lament, but also a celebration of her mother's life. So, and the beauty of it, the beauty of the cycle of life. I am very excited to hear more. I am so glad that the album is coming so soon because we don't have to wait very long. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on these two new songs. I am definitely liking Ancestress the most so far. So I am very excited to hear more kind of this sorrowful soil type music because there's another song called that is going to be on that topic, as well as everything else we have to uncover with the new record. So I will review that not long after it comes out. Subscribe if you are new here and you would like to see that content, as well as other music content from artists just like Björk that I will talk about. And I hope you all enjoyed this one. I will see you all in my next video. Have a wonderful, blessed day. Peace, love, and light. Bye.